Today we will be exploring the American answer to Diagon Alley, Ebbingdales Wonders for Wizards. Ebbingdales is a wizarding department store briefly mentioned in Fantastic Beasts with the slogan, Magic on Every Floor. It's a blink and you'll miss it detail, but it makes perfect sense for American wizard culture. Now, fans love Diagon Alley, and why wouldn't we? In the first Harry Potter book and film, it's our first real glimpse into the wizarding world. But Diagon Alley style is very European. It was inspired by Victoria Street in Edinburgh, and that kind of outdoor shopping district just wasn't common in the US. What we did have? Well, back in the 1700s, Americans relied on general stores and farmers markets. But by the late 1800s, department stores revolutionized shopping. Some of the earliest stores, like Macy's and Sears, took the shopping scene by storm, becoming the predominant way people shopped. That consumerism eventually evolved into shopping malls many know today. It further evolved into online shopping, which has resulted in the death of the department store. But here's the key. Wizards don't use the internet, so Ebbingdales never had to compete with Amazon. Which means it could still be thriving today. So what's inside? Based on 2 ads in the New York Ghost, we can piece together the departments. The first ad? Hats. Exceptionally smart hats. Attractive hats. Felt hats. Sounds boring at first, I know, but since it's magic, they probably weren't exaggerating. These were sold in the millinery department, a fancy word for hat making, which means Ebbingdales definitely had a clothing section. You could presumably get all the latest fashions there. In fact, fashion is a big deal here. In Fantastic Beasts, American wizard clothes mirror 1920s Muggle fashion. Now you might argue that this is a movie-only detail that carried over from the Harry Potter films, but I would argue that it makes way more sense for American wizards and witches to adopt Muggle fashion. In the US, witches and wizards would constantly cross paths with Muggles, way more than in the UK. Adopting Muggle fashion would help them blend in. In fact, I believe that the Ilvermorny uniform would be a blend of a Muggle school uniform and a classic robe. You could probably get your school uniforms from Ebbingdales. In another ad for Ebbingdales, they have job listings that give us more clues to what departments exist. Beauty counter staff and dress robes advisor further illustrates the idea of a clothing department, as well as makeup and accessories. Broom sales advisor and Quidditch supply specialist implies a whole department dedicated to broom sports. Whether it be the more popular quad pot or the classic Quidditch, this department would be a one-stop shop for all broom sports. Lastly, there's a job listing in the Young Witches and Wizards department. This could be interpreted as a section for magical baby needs or for Ilvermorny-aged children. There isn't much context, so maybe it covered both. Either way, this shapes up to be a very insane store. It's hard to know if Ebbingdales only exists in New York, but I have to imagine, like real-world department stores, Ebbingdales could easily be the magical department store giant, much in the way of our Macy's, Sears, and Bloomingdale's once were. And without online shopping to kill the magical department store, there's no reason to believe that Ebbingdales wouldn't still thrive almost 100 years after Newt visits New York in 1927. So, what do you think? Is a magical department store the right path for the American Diagon Alley? Or would you still prefer something like Diagon Alley in the States? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Mischief managed.